I'm Travis McGeathy. I'm the lead systems designer for Heroes of the Storm.
Travis, talk about what you announced here at BlizzCon 2016.
Sure. So most of what we've been talking about here has been the new heroes, Varian and Ragnaros, as well as the new brawl, Blackheart's Revenge, and the Nexus Challenge Event. We also had a panel yesterday where we talked about some of the new system stuff for coming in the future, including a progression update, personalized stats, and then some things that we are working for even further in the future, like hero swaps and all the way up through clans. So.
Well, that's a lot of stuff on the board.
Yes. We pretty much announced our plans for the next year yesterday. So.
Geez, that's brutal. So talk about your matchmaking system, because that's probably the most heavily criticized system you have, with QM and ranked, and people say, oh, I'm not getting matched up right. Oh, you're giving me 3 supports and 2 tanks, and the person have a perfect team comp. Talk about behind the scenes and how that works, and how it's trial and error.
Sure. Yeah, this time last year, matchmaking was in a pretty bad spot. We really spent the last year focusing on making quality matches, and we've gotten to a really good point with a lot of that now. I believe it's something where we're north of 98% of the matches we make are good matches, in that, to find good match, basically roughly 50% chance of both teams going into it having a good chance of winning there. The cost of that is increased queue time. So our complaint at this point is kind of shifted away from my matches are all poor to it now takes too long to get a queue, and that's what we're looking at now. In some cases, I think quick match, we've increased queue times about 50%, which sounds like a lot, but we were making matches in about 60 seconds. Now it's closer to 90. Hero League, it's gotten up to about 200% at the top end there. So our focus now is looking at where can we bring that balance back in and get those queue times back down.
We're going to talk about, for someone who's unfamiliar with how the queue system works, talk about if I'm playing support class, how it searches. Does it search for another tank and 3 DPS, or does it just kind of search for just other people queuing in the same vicinity?
Yeah, it changes by game mode. When you're talking about queuing as a support, you're talking probably about quick match here, right? And so it's trying to make a composition that is playable, but quick match for us is kind of the Wild West mode too. So in a lot of ways, we're trying to make matches that are good, but we're trying to do it in a quick way, and that's just that balance. So you're not always going to get the perfect team composition, but we're trying to get you in a game that is good and enjoyable as quickly as possible.
So let's talk about ranked mode for a minute, because that mode's important because people want to be matched up with people of equal playing, and there's nothing more depressing than queuing for a ranked match and losing in 8 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one of those things too, where, so when I'm talking about the quality of matches right now, when we're making good, we are making good matches in ranked at this point. We also track what we call stomps, and those are a little higher than we want. So those are an area we're looking at right now, is beyond just the going into the match, whether you have a good chance to win or lose, it's the quality of how you win or lose too, and that's one of those things that we're looking into at the moment.
So you look at team comp and game time, and then say, okay, well, they lost in 8 minutes because they just chose poorly, or wow, they were just unevenly matched.
Yeah, sometimes it comes down to the individual players themselves. The guy who has an emergency in the middle of the match and he has to bail out. Matchmaking can never solve for that. So it's really, we're doing as much as we can, but there's some things that are just kind of out of our hands.
Talk about the changes you've made to the penalty for leavers and rage quitters, as well as being inactive in the game, because I've noticed that time has decreased exponentially if you stand around for too long.
Yeah, so this is another place where it's a balance point for us. Booting people out who go AFK for too long, these people are impacting the match themselves. We want to get them out and take care of that quickly. The leaver penalty as well. There's a balance there. We don't want to punish people who are leaving.
Go to the bathroom.
Well, when they're leaving the match because their connection drops, and it happens every once in a while, you've got a grace period there. You can leave every once in a while. It's not bad. But people that do it repeatedly, this is affecting everybody else's game on both teams. And so we take them out of the queue. We put them in their own leaver queue, and they have to work off those penalties and come back again. One thing we are looking forward to adding is what we're just calling loss forgiveness. So when you get into a match and somebody on your team leaves or goes AFK and throws the game, one of the things we want to add is reducing the penalties that happen in the case of the loss of the match. So if you're in ranked play and you lose through no fault of your own, we are looking at ways to kind of mitigate that.
One of the things that I've been running into sometimes is I'll say you were dropped, and the only options are options and exit to desktop. Is that an internal thing, or because I would think there'd be a reconnect option there somewhere, or attempt to reconnect?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with just the options and usually when you get in, there's the attempt to reconnect, which goes through which can be a rather long reconnect process, and that's in one of those areas where we're trying to improve as well.
So being here at BlizzCon, you get to see the pros play. What are your thoughts on seeing these people use these characters and play these maps and, be really good at them?
It's absolutely amazing to watch. One of my favorite things to watch is somebody that's really good with METEOR in those team compositions and the plays they can pull off. Just absolutely incredible. I was watching a Dignitas game where they had METEOR in there yesterday, and it's just mind-blowing. Things I personally could never, ever do.
So talk about some of the future, and like I know there's a lot, but some of the future things you have on the table as far as like improving matchmaking and ranked matchmaking and trying to decrease queue times and all that stuff.
Yeah, those ones are just kind of always ongoing challenges. There's not a lot of meat to get into there, but we were talking about a lot of features that are coming to the game yesterday that I can get into more detail on. One of the ones that's coming out pretty soon is what we're calling just personalized stats, and it's speaking to players are looking for more information about how they're doing as an individual inside of a match, and now we're gathering metrics within a game, comparing it to their personal history and the historical performance of players of similar skill, and then giving them feedback after the game to say, you know what, this game you did better than average, or you know, here are areas where you can improve. And that does kind of tie into matchmaking. Kind of the holy grail of matchmaking is being able to adjust your matchmaking rating based on your individual performance in a team-based game. This is kind of a step in that direction. We've been experimenting with this, and it's still a long way off, and it still could collapse, but internally we've got some pretty encouraging things in that direction.
Yeah, that's great, because now you can, more data is always good, first of all. Totally. It's always good data, but like for Brightwing, when after it ends match, I look at my healing, my XP, and my deaths, and that's really all I can look at. Yeah. And I don't know if like I say, okay, well I was low in XP, or I died once or twice, and that's really bad, but now I can look even more and compare myself to other heroes that are playing my hero as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in the case of Brightwing, and this is something we're expecting to get out within the next month or two, at the end of the match, if you've done well in some way, you'll get a little pop-in that says something along the lines of, players who are playing Brightwing did this amount of healing over the last 30 days on average, and in this match, you did 15% better than that, so great job. Or if you're playing a melee assassin, for instance, you might see that for hero damage or map objectives and that kind of thing.
How do you feel that will improve the overall quality of the game and the game experience?
Well, I think for one, it's really good just to know that I personally did well within the match. MVP was a step in that direction as well, where it's trying to kind of reward personal achievement. And it's great as a player to know where I'm doing well and in areas I can improve. And hopefully it just brings kind of the entire skill level of the game up as players get more information about how they're doing.
When can people expect these, rank changes and these huge changes that are happening, as well as the new heroes?
The new heroes are coming out. I believe Varian will be hitting PTR next week and then launching mid-November, Ragnaros in December. The personalized stat stuff we're expecting to get out within the next week or two. Oh, sorry, not week or two. The next month or two. Week or two will be very,
Oh,
very
you got me really excited.
That one should be seeing live play within the next month or two.